What is going on, YouTube world? We are KRT LYFE, KRT LYFE with the Y. Like, subscribe, comment, all that cool stuff. And today we're bringing y'all the ultimate battle, the battle of the G's. Okay, so behind us we have two G's, very similar but also very different. What do we have?
So we have 2013 G-Wagon.
Yep.
And we have 2005, 6?
2005, I think.
2005 GX470.
460.
460?
No, 470. 460 is a new one. All right, so we're gonna give you a close-up view of what is really similar about these cars.
Yes.
And we are gonna start in the front. First of all, both of these are V8s. That's kind of obvious, right?
Yes.
But they're also both trucks.
That's kind of obvious too.
They're SUVs or trucks. I don't know. People kind of
whatever you prefer.
Yeah, SUV, truck, whatever you want to call it.
We usually call it truck. We don't really call it SUV.
Yes.
Really.
They're both four-wheel drive, and we both love these trucks a lot.
Yes.
We've had
both.
Yes, we've had both of them, and we've had both of them in black. Even though we're testing a black one and a gray one. So those are the first things. Now I guess we can talk about how they're a little different.
I guess so.
Okay, so one of the big differences that I think about when I think about the GX470 versus any G-Wagon is that in the United States, GXs have the third row.
Yes, they do it. So what do they call them?
Jump seats.
Jump seats.
Yes. So your GX can have a third row. G-Wagons, not so much. So that's a massive plus if you have a family.
Yes.
What else is a big difference for you?
Well, clearly the price, because the price of this car is a lot less than the price of G-Wagon.
Yes. So for the price of this right here, you could probably get how many of those?
At least 2.
Or 3. Maybe 2.
Brand new ones, probably 2.
Yeah, probably 2.
Loaded.
The four-wheel drive system. We can talk about that real quick. So the Lexus four-wheel drive system is God, what is it called? It's called it's a viscosity system or something like that. Not viscosity. I can't remember what exactly it's called. But the Lexus four-wheel drive system doesn't have lockers and all the other like heavy off-roading stuff that you need, but it is still really good. Limited slip, I think is what it's called. The limited slip diffs and stuff like that kind of like do this magic stuff. Kind of like the Audi Quattro systems. Whereas on the other hand, when you get the G-Wagon has actual lockers, and it has center, rear, and front lockers, and the four-wheel drive system is a lot more robust on the G-Wagon.
All right, so what about gas mileage?
Gas mileage. So this is one thing that is actually very similar. So these G-Wagons typically get about 14 miles per gallon, sometimes 12 if you're really aggressive on it. And what do you normally get in this?
Probably about the same.
So that's also comparable. This build quality. How do you feel when you open and close the doors on the G-Wagon?
Well, the G-Wagon is like a tank. You can feel how heavy it is, how solid it is. When you open and close that door, you can tell, okay, this thing is...
You want to demonstrate it to them?
Sure.
Let's do it. I'll follow you.
So we're doing a G-Wagon first?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do this.
So opening and closing doors on the
First
G-Wagon.
of all, G-Wagon has the unique click that not one other car or SUV or truck or whatever that might be you think of has. This is only G-Wagon.
Okay.
And then when you close it, this thing is super heavy when you open. You have to really put some strength into it to pull it.
Sounds really solid.
Yes.
Now on the other hand, what is the Lexus like?
The Lexus feels super light, and a matter of fact, when we switch between two of them, we always slam the door the first initial time when we get in the Lexus.
Show them what that's like?
Yes. So these are lighter. All it takes is one finger.
Wow. What about when you close it?
You cannot do that with G-Wagon. Same thing.
Wow.
That's it. Definitely not as solid feeling as G-Wagon, that's for sure.
Okay, so build quality. I guess I'll talk about build quality. So with the build quality between these two, I feel like when I get into the Lexus, I feel like everything's a lot lighter and a lot more, I guess, easier to do, and a lot more, not really feels cheap, but it feels kind of plastically and light. Like everything's kind of like soft and light. Versus when you come over to the G-Wagon, everything is very heavy and feels like it's made out of like some kind of old, like, I don't know, piece of like super heavy duty metal or something like that. once again, going to opening and closing these doors, the sounds that the door makes, the weight of the door when you open the door, and the way that the car feels when you drive it, and the look of the interior, like everything in here that you touch just feels like it's of the highest quality that Mercedes-Benz could actually, like, you know, bring it to fruition. Versus when you come over here to the Lexus, it's very Lexus-ish. It feels like quality, but not necessarily the highest quality. It's very plasticky. There's leather, there's wood, or what looks like wood to some people, but it doesn't feel like it's the highest level of quality.
Definitely not the luxury type of vehicle. And I know this is the older one. Obviously, they have a pretty big difference between, you know, two of them in years anyway.
Right.
But still, another thing what I like inside of the G-Wagon is the buttons. Just like, you know, Reza was talking about the doors and how everything's so heavy. When you press the buttons on the G-Wagon, like inside on the console, they like, it barely moves, but it feels like so solid.
Right.
Where on GX, like I have to mush that thing and it feels super plasticky.
Right. Now, I know some people are also probably going to say, well, you're comparing an old GX to a newer G-Wagon, but we had an older G-Wagon, and even comparing an older G-Wagon to an older GX, like,
still not the same. Clearly, the looks on the G-Wagon is a lot more posh than, I would say, the Lexus. This curb appeal is a lot different from this curb appeal. But I feel like when you put, it's never going to be the same, but I feel like if you kind of modify it a little bit, like we put different tires, we put different wheels. If you put I like how they put the rear spoiler on the top. That makes the difference.
Can you show everybody what you're talking about?
Sure.
So what do we do first?
So we changed the wheels. We put the TRD wheels.
Yep.
And we just recently got the new tires to match because our tires didn't match the TRD wheels. What I was talking, we don't have the spoiler, but I like this piece where it goes over right here on the top. It's really little, but I feel like it makes a big difference in the look. So we talk about price, we talk about usability, we talk about gas mileage, seating. Obviously, we kind of mentioned it. The third row seating for family, it's definitely a lot better. Plus, if you have kids and you don't want it to be messed up car, this might be a better option. We talk a little bit about looks. So I guess next is comfort, drive, and maintenance. So
yep, comfort, drive, maintenance. So looks, definitely G-Wagon wins. That right there, you can make it look good.
Never gonna be the same though.
Family usefulness, definitely probably the Lexus. Price, G-Wagon beats you up. That thing is a lot cheaper. So now we're gonna see what they drive like.
Yes.
Here we go.
Let's go.
All right, here we go. Back to back, driving these two vehicles, G-Wagon versus GX. Let's see what we can discover and find out about these two cars.
So we want to talk about comfort, right?
Yes.
All right, right now we don't look very comfortable. We off-road.
Yeah, we're kind of bouncing around, but still off-road. These newer G-Wagons have a very soft suspension that makes them a lot more comfortable than the G500s and stuff like that.
Yes.
The seats are really good. Top quality, as you would expect from Mercedes. About to drive through a rut right there. There we go. And we're out. Oh, there we go. Now we're on road. So top quality. Steering wheel feels good. The brakes feel good. Everything feels good. And I mean, that's news to nobody who knows anything about G-Wagons.
Yes.
So it's a really good, comfortable ride. It's a little noisy. Now this one has this is the 550, and it sounds pretty loud when you get on it, but for the most part, it's kind of docile to some degree. But it's very comfortable though. What else is in the notes?
The drive. How does it drive?
So it drives heavy. It has a very heavy steering feel. It's a lot better than the older ones that drove really, really heavy. Yes. But it's nowhere near like a Lexus. Like it's still like a really like you can feel that you're driving a really, really heavy steel military truck.
Absolutely. It definitely makes a huge difference when you drive down the road on this thing versus the Lexus.
Road noise, I mean, it's a box, so you're going to deal with road noise and stuff like that. You kind of hear it. But, like, one of the other things I wanted to say about driving these versus driving a GX, and what the driving experience is like, when you're driving this car, all eyes are on you. Everybody's looking at you. Yeah. People spot you a mile away and be like, oh, look at that G-Wagon over there. Let's go see who that is. Let's look who it is. Let me get my phone ready to take a picture. And I mean, some of that is cool sometimes, but it's not cool all the time, especially when you're trying to be low key. So that part of the driving experience with the G-Wagon, I'm not really much of a fan of it. I don't like all the extra attention.
Yes, because I feel like it started getting more and more attention lately, and we had some instances where it definitely was very unwanted attention.
Yes.
You don't get that in GX, that's for
Oh,
sure.
no.
You kind of like, even if you pull up to the stop somewhere where these boys are selling waters, you in the Lex, they don't even come to your window. You in the G-Wagon, they're gonna come. After you tell them no, they're still gonna stand there and be like, have you changed your mind yet?
Absolutely.
So what about maintenance?
So maintenance on G-Wagons obviously is extremely high. It's a handcrafted, hand-built car, and it's a Mercedes, so it's very pricey to own and maintain a G-Wagon. Just on parts alone, parts of these cars can be very pricey. And if you are one of those people that cannot do your own repairs, you know, dropping your car off at the dealership every once in a while, it can kind of add up. So it's not a cheap car to drive at all.
Luckily, we have a great mechanic in the family. Really? So we, you know, we actually save quite a bit of money, or used to save when we had a G-Wagon, you know, on the repairs.
All right, so now we're about to switch seats, and Sister Cat is going to drive, and she's going to talk about how it feels when she drives this G-Wagon.
And I'm in.
Boom shakalaka. All right. So now Sister Cat is at the wheel. Now you've driven a lot of G-Wagons. The one that we had, this one.
I've got to say, that's what the first thing I was going to say. Driving the G500 that we had versus G550 with what it had 8 years difference.
Yeah.
This feels a lot easier to drive as far as steering it, because our G500, you had to really like turn that wheel.
Oh yeah.
There was no light way to do that.
Now let's talk about, okay, so the G550 versus G500 versus GX470.
So of course it feels a lot heavier to be in a G-Wagon, that's for sure. Sorry, I'm like trying to go around. Feels a lot more solid. I drive the GX every day right now, and I sit in quite a bit of traffic, so that car is a lot comfortable and a lot easier to drive, I feel like. This definitely feels like, literally I feel like I'm in the tank going through roads.
Yeah.
Still the steering is a lot lighter than it used to be. This is a lot more comfortable. I like the seats. I feel like seats are more comfortable versus GX. I feel like this should be, the gas mileage should be
worse on this?
Worse on this,
you would think.
Sure.
But it's not the case. Yeah, right here. But it's not
like,
the case. It's almost comparable.
Yes, because I feel like GX is, you know, lighter and it's just kind of smoother, sort of speak when you drive. But other than that, I definitely like the inside of the truck. I like the outside of the truck. I like it looking like a tank versus, you know, just smooth lines. I think the only car I really like with the smooth lines is a Porsche. Yeah. But with a truck, I feel like it should be very boxy looking and rough around the edges, sort of.
Which the G-Wagon is.
Which G-Wagon fits the bill perfectly.
So overall, the drive for you versus the GX, what do you think?
This is heavier. I feel like this would be more exhausting to drive than GX every day.
All right, so now we are going to go jump in the GX, and we're going to compare the GX directly to the G550. And just like that, through the magic of Hollywood, we are now driving away in the GX. Now we're in the off-road portion of our, review.
Yes.
And luckily for us, we have some serious off-road tires on here. But I can immediately feel how soft the suspension is on here and how easy the car can sway versus the G-Wagon. Yeah, my keys are like swinging so bad they're banging against the, I'm going to go through this pole right here and probably wash the tires off a bit. All right. So we are off in the GX470, and Okay, so it's just so Toyota-ish. That's the number one thing. First of all, let me start off with that.
It's a very good description. It is Toyota-ish. It's definitely just like any Toyota driving. Super smooth.
Super smooth. Like the controls feel like a Toyota. Like I'm almost certain you can jump in like an LS, like Lexus, or a Camry. Yeah, I mean you can jump in a Camry and it literally almost feels like you're in like a GX. Like it's just has that Toyota softness and Toyota zest of reliability. It has that Toyota smell versus the G-Wagon has that G-Wagon smell, which also kind of makes you be like, oh, okay, well, this smells familiar. What else?
Definitely not as luxury in here, that's for sure.
Yeah, not as much luxuriousness
and
going on.
I'm pretty sure even if you're gonna get all doctored up version, it's still not going to feel even close to what the G-Wagon would feel inside.
Yeah, and it just feels so soft compared to a G-Wagon. Yes. Even though the new G550s are like really, really soft compared to the G500s, this feels even softer. Like when you go over bumps, when you go over ruts, it's like you barely feel anything in the road. And mind you, we have these like the BF Goodrich mud terrain tires on here, I believe. And it's just super, super soft. It's also extremely quiet. When we drove down to Miami, super smooth, super quiet drive. Now these tires are a little bit louder though, right?
Yes, they definitely are louder. When you get on the interstate, you definitely can hear a little bit more noise versus the other ones. But they still not as loud as I thought they would be.
Oh, but you know what else? One thing that's good about this versus the G-Wagon? Glass sunroof.
Yes, that's a big plus.
I don't know why G-Wagons don't have a glass sunroof, but hey, come on, Mercedes, get with the program. Get a glass sunroof
because
going on.
There might be a military vehicle, and it would not be very practical to have a glass sunroof on the military vehicle.
That's probably why.
There goes. I just came up with that.
Yep. I like that rationale. That's good. But, all right, so that's basically what I think about this car. Super light steering, super light suspension, everything's super soft, super smooth. And now it's Kat's turn to take a go as we go back to back between the Lexus GX470 and the Mercedes G550. Which one be the best?
And I'm into this one now. So mind you, I drive this every day, just like I said. I drive about 30 miles a day, back to back, and sometimes I sit in traffic and sometimes I don't. So being a daily driver, I think this is a great option because it is very smooth, it's very soft. It doesn't feel exhausting to drive this truck because of its, being light. I do not stress out as much about this sitting in traffic as I would obviously if driving G-Wagon every day, because that would be a little bit more nerve-wracking.
How does this V8 feel compared to the G-Wagon V8?
Well, I haven't really stepped on gas on that V8. I did step on this one, and it kind of goes. It's not obviously.
Is this faster than the G500?
It is definitely faster than G500, I think. But you can also feel how heavy that other truck is versus this. So it's like it has to be faster.
Yeah.
Unless this is like V12, then yeah, okay, we might be somewhere near. But yes, it's definitely very Toyota-like.
So when we drove our G500 up to the mountains versus driving this to Miami, which one was a better drive? Which one was more relaxing to you?
This is a lot more relaxing. And we had different exhausts in the G500, so that was a little bit other factor that wears you out. But because I think that the weight of the vehicle for me.
Yeah.
I feel like and obviously the truck built different, so this is a lot smoother. Like you don't have as much of a resistance when you're hitting the wind and hitting the road versus the other ones.
Lots of road noise.
Yes, in the G-Wagon you definitely feel that for sure, especially when you get in the interstate. It is more exhausting. This is a lot more comfortable.
But like I was saying, like it's such a drastic difference when you drive them back to back. Like it's a lot more of a difference than you realize. Like if you just drive one and then drive the other one a few months later, when you literally get in them back to back, it is very, very, very different.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. That's kind of.
How does it feel off road? Because this is the off road portion of Kat's drive.
Oh, I love it. I wish we could go somewhere else where I can really try to go uphill and through the ditches or something, because I can't wait. I literally hitting every single bump there is here, and there isn't much.
But it's enough to make us shake like this.
Yeah, but it goes well though. It's not struggling. Like
it's very nice.
Very good.
All right, so that concludes our back-to-back portion of us driving the GX470 from Lexus versus the G550 from Mercedes-Benz. So I guess we're going to tell y'all our conclusions of what we think about these two vehicles that we both love. It's not like we hate either one of these. These are both trucks that we like.
Yes, definitely both that we like. So it's just going to come down to, I guess, some details to pick one.
Yep. All right, let's get out and wrap this up.
Okay. So I gotta say one more thing. The turning radius on the G-Wagon versus Lexus is very drastic. In Lexus, you can, even though it's truck, you can still probably make a U-turn on almost every turn. Versus G-Wagon, you can't even pull on the road on some of the spots.
That's fast.
This seating to put in the GX, that would have been really dope.
All right, so we just finished driving both of these cars, and we've lived with both of these cars for a long time, so we've had one of each, and driving them back to back kind of gives you a little bit more insight on them. What do you think?
It's hard to pick one if we would have to pick one, because this option is, I think, more logical. It's easier on your pocket. It's better for family-friendly vehicle, considering the third row seating and stuff like this. We lately put 8 tires in the back of this thing.
Yeah.
And the kid was in it at the same time.
8 tires, 3 people.
Yeah, so it's like you can't beat that. Long drives and stuff like this, I feel like the maintenance-wise is better than the price-wise.
And it's a lot more comfortable, and it's a lot more quieter.
It's a lot
very
lighter.
Easy to steer. Very light.
It's very light compared to G-Wagon, that's for sure. Like, you can steer that thing with one finger, the doors close very easily. Car is very light. But this option, on the other hand, if it doesn't affect your pocket and you don't need the third row seating to haul things around, I would definitely go with G.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I have a little bit of other kind of ways I think about it too. So like, if you were going to actually drive off-road, would you take a $100,000 vehicle or would you take a $60,000 vehicle? Think about it like that, you know? So in these numbers for these cars, there's obviously a massive price difference between these two vehicles. But if I was really going to go do some serious off-roading,
yes,
I would be way more likely to take this GX470 than this G550. For hauling kids and doing kid stuff and doing family stuff, like she said, like the GX is quieter, it's easier on your pocket. It's somewhat of a disposable car. I hate to put it in that category, but it is kind of disposable versus where a G-Wagon is something that you kind of would covet. So you would be kind of more upset if certain things happen to it, like if the door got scratched or if it got dinged. I know at least I would be. I don't know about you guys out there.
Yeah, your heart doesn't hurt that much when you see that ding on the door.
Exactly.
That's for sure.
And then modifications. This is another thing we never really talk about, but there's more room for modification on the GX versus on the G-Wagon. Now, you can do a lot of stuff to G-Wagons, but I feel like the GX you can do a lot more to.
Very true, but also I feel G-Wagon does not require as much of modifications just because the way it looks off the factory.
Exactly.
Versus how the GX looks.
We don't want to talk about the way the GX looks coming from the factory.
So, I feel like at the end of the day, it depends on what your purpose for this vehicle.
Yes.
And that's what you would pick one over the other.
Oh, but you know, yeah. But I didn't even talk about the drive. So driving a GX versus a G, the GX is just lighter, and the G is heavier and it's louder, and it's just more like raw. Whereas like the Lexus is more like, oh, you're in a clouded mushroom.
Yeah, I feel like when I drive a G-Wagon, whatever's gonna be in my way is gonna be trumped to death. Like you either get out or you're dead.
Exactly.
That's how it feels.
Exactly.
GX is kind of like, okay, can I take this? I don't know.
So if you had to choose one, if you could only choose one, which one would you choose? The G or the GX?
It's hard, but I think I would stay with a G-Wagon.
I think I would pick a GX. Do you want to tell? Should I tell them why before we end this vlog?
Why? Yeah, why?
Because I like cars that I don't have to stress about. A GX is something that you don't have to stress about. they're like literally most of the parts on this car are from you can find on a Toyota Tacoma off the shelf. Parts for a G-Wagon, oh my God, they're expensive and they're hard to order. Well, not really hard to order, but it just takes time and blah blah blah. This, I mean, you can just find a Tacoma and pull the whatever off of a Tacoma.
But that's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, it's what is your purpose for this vehicle?
Yeah.
Because I didn't even think of like, oh yeah, what would I take off road? It wasn't even dinging in my mind like, okay, which one do I take off road? Because I wouldn't really.
I mean, like that,
yeah, like I'm thinking, okay, like daily driving, doing this,
Right.
doing that, you know what I mean? So like, our thoughts are completely different for the purpose deep down anyway.
Yeah. So really it comes down to you and what you want to do with the vehicle, but we just thought this would be a cool vlog for us to do since we happen to have both of these in our driveway. We are KRT LYFE, KRT LYFE with the Y. Only you can make the decision to drive a G or a GX, whatever fits your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like, subscribe, comment, all that, and we are out.